Catastrophic job losses. Let's have a look. Good morning, everyone. Florian.heise here, and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. I've got my morning stein of coffee, and it's a little warmer today in Brisbane. I think it's probably 11 degrees. Fantastic. It's the problem when you have my wonderful style of haircut. You really feel it. Now, I thought we'd have a look at this article from news.com.au, which is discussing, well, the grim reality that's facing Australia, the huge decline in job vacancies. Now, last time we had a look at the job ads from ANZ, well, they had plunged and then pretty much stayed at a reduced level. I mean, you can have a look at that graph, everyone. It is pretty self-evident. What we're also starting to see now, we've got a few days left as I record this. It's the 26th of June. And I'm just looking at my calendar down here. So we've got 2 business days left in the financial year, because it's Friday, 29th and 30th. So you're going to start seeing more and more redundancies being made now, just as the financial year comes to a close. People want to have their debts wiped off with this financial year, not next year. And if you have employees, all those other debts and liabilities you have to them, holiday pay, other, long service leave, that you need to get off the books. And part of the reason why, I suspect, Qantas made their move to shed 6,000 staff before the end of the financial year. I'm having people sending me messages of friends, family members, or themselves who have been let go, who have been made redundant. A few days ago, a viewer sent a message where his girlfriend and his roommate both have lost their jobs in the last couple of days. I just had this morning another person left in the comments. They've got a colleague that's a consultant over in WA in the mining sector lost their job. Other people are coming through in the comments and saying they've lost their job, all recently. So we're starting to see the true impact of this recession, everyone. It's starting to materialize in job losses, sadly, and we're going to see more and more of it, to be quite frank. Remember, we'll have to see what happens when these support mechanisms that are implemented by the government, the JobKeeper, start to dissipate. I mean, here's the thing. If you're in a business where there's very little chance of it recovering instantly, the V-shaped recovery, now I've got another article we'll look at, it's pretty much been dismissed. Do you want to keep your people on running a loss? Sometimes you can't afford to. Sometimes you have to make the harsh decisions to let people go. And generally, you keep in touch. And if there's an opportunity to bring them back, you bring them back. Most of the time they move on. They find other opportunities. I mean, I got an email from the first staff member I ever hired yesterday asking me for a contact. And it's quite funny seeing someone who remember as a first-year student, as a senior person in the profession. It's quite rewarding, actually. So let's have a look at this, everyone. So job vacancies collapse. The grim graph reveals record job losses. And what we're going to see here is, and I need a coffee, we're going to see the impact of this recession on industries that may not have felt it. What we've had is retail has copped it, tourism has copped it, but they're going to be the professions that are going to start experiencing it. A revealing new graph has shown the industries losing out after Australia reported the biggest plunge in job vacancies in recorded history. Australia has just recorded the biggest plunge in job vacancies in recorded history, but there's still some surprising industries where work opportunities improved during the pandemic. Well, let's see. Where did it improve? Electricity, gas, waste and water, agriculture, forestry and fishing, public admin and safety, and financial and insurance services. Everything else pretty much plunged. Look at the accommodation and food services, everyone. Education, training down. Construction took a hit. Mining took a little hit. Everything taking a hit. Job vacancies fell off a cliff in the May quarter as a result of the pandemic shutdowns, according to the latest figures released yesterday. The number of job vacancies in Australia decreased by 43% over the May 2020 quarter, which is the largest single fall on record. Economist and Professor Roger Wilkins said the figures were grim and told the story of the huge impact of the pandemic on jobs in restaurants and cafes. Well, yeah, entire sectors have completely shut down. It shows that between February and May, the number of jobs in accommodation and food services declined by 293,000, he told news.com.au. See, this is the thing. This is not just a recession, everyone. This is so fast and so dramatic. This has the risk of being a prolonged depression. The big worry is that some of the people who lose their jobs will suffer a form of job scarring and won't be able to get back into the market. Particularly, it gets harder the older you get, to be quite honest. When you're, my age above, I'm approaching 40. From then, it gets harder. And I'm sure there are people that can share stories in the comments of just the difficulties of getting back into the market. ABS data out today shows job losses by industries, but doesn't show the jobs would have been lost without JobKeeper. Well, yeah, that's a whole other side as well. Once JobKeeper disappears, there are industries that are advocating. People have sent me stuff from the Hotel Association where they're advocating to try and extend JobKeeper just to save their industry. To save their industry. And here's the thing. You can argue, get us to this government handouts, government bailouts. But it's also a lot of small businesses that are paid decades of tax and an industry that employs a lot of people. So it's a double-edged sword, guys, isn't it? Isn't it? They need to open it up. They need to remove a lot of the costs. Maybe how about a couple of years off the toilet taxes that people get charged? If you don't know what I'm talking about, look up my video I did about the Townsville toilet tax. $1,000 per toilet per year if you're in a commercial premises. Employment in accommodation and food services fell by 293 over 3 months. It's a 31% decline. Arts and recreation fell by 35%. What this shows, this data, is that job losses, while they are spread across all sectors, are very concentrated in accommodation and food services. They've been prohibited in some cases from trading, and so we would certainly be expecting a bounce back, but the bounce back will be nowhere near as big as the fall we are seeing there. And he's right. We're not going to see the bounce back as fast as the decline, because people are still going to be scared and worried. But people are also going to be saving money. They're going to be stashing their cash. Eating out is a luxury. It is a luxury. And before we became boring suburban family people with an army of children, we would eat out every weekend. We'd go out and have our nice Saturday breakfast, just the two of us at a nice restaurant in the city. $30 each. Yeah, actually, about $30 each. Now that I think back on it, I'm cringing. I want to go slap my 20-something self for his stupidity right there. But we did it. We did it. And eventually, we found much cheaper places. But it's a luxury. You can go without that. Once you start getting used to cooking at home, you save a lot of money. And then the next step is to go even a step further, is to buy bulk. To buy in bulk. We get our food by the beast. We're probably buying now half a cow rather than a full cow. The saving between a full and a half, it's the same price we're paying, and the meat's a little fresher. We store it, 6 months frozen, and we're a big household now too. But we've seen smallish increases in agricultural jobs. These are seasonally adjusted, so it's not because of picking season or anything like that. Electricity, gas, water, and waste service jobs also increased. Financial and insurance service jobs also increased slightly by 20,000, possibly to assist businesses coping with the pandemic fallout. That's the shortage we're going to have in liquidators, perhaps. Or, speaking to my broker, they've got some businesses that are trying, he doesn't know of anyone yet that's managed to claim, insurance for not being able to operate. He's waiting for someone else to fight that battle, and then he'll use that as precedent to fight it. But the public sector is still a safer port in a storm than the private sector, with job vacancies declining by 29% compared to 43%. Well, we've seen that, guys. Look at just the difference in wage growth between the public and private sector. So there's a lot of people that advocate getting in the public sector just to have that safety of the government. While today's job vacancy data is pretty dire, our data on Indeed AU shows that hiring activity has since improved, currently tracking around 42% below last year's trend, but making up ground daily. So you can see here that hiring is increasing, but look at that plunge, everyone. Look at that huge dive. Bjorn Jarvis, head of labour statistics at the ABS, said that the new figures were worse than Paul Keating's recession we had to have in the 90s. Yeah, that's the thing. This is going to be tougher than that recession. And you've got a generation that were born after that recession that don't even remember that recession, that only know good times. So it's going to be a bit hard. It's going to be humbling for a lot of people to really, really have to pull back. And I mean, I'm seeing it in the comments when I'm criticizing people complaining about, not getting enough government support and playing the victim status. What happens is, when you go into a situation like this, when you lose a lot, and I'm speaking from personal experience here, when you either lose a job or, in our case, we lost a big client, so there's a lot of work that just disappeared, you've got to learn to make cuts. And there's two ways you can respond to that. One, you can, become a victim and blame others for your mistakes and insist that it's others' fault and say, oh, it's our generation's been screwed, we need to get more money, yada, 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 more handouts. I can't survive off this money. Or it can build your character. It can humble you, and you can find new opportunities. It can be a never again am I going to be in that situation, and you can build up and get new opportunities there. It's going to be hard for a lot of people. You've got one, it's either going to be character building, or it's going to reveal weaknesses in people's character. And I think a lot of people will be humbled. I'm hoping it'll be good. I'm hoping we'll have a turnaround here in our nation. A lot of people will go, never again. I'm never falling into this huge debt trap. I'm never being so dependent on one thing. I'm never borrowing money for this piece of rubbish. Look at all this crap. You really learn the value of stuff that you bought, particularly toys and things, when you're forced to sell them. I had one person in the comments saying, oh, poor people, why they should be able to have Xboxes as well. And I agree, everyone should be able to have an Xbox and a toy. But you shouldn't have it, or you shouldn't be complaining about not getting enough if you still have it. You should sell it beforehand. You should go on Gumtree, sell it before you start complaining that you're not pulling through, that you're skipping meals. And you can buy a lot of food for an Xbox. A couple $100. You can buy a lot of staples there. You can buy shampoo with it. TVs you can sell. These are all luxury things. Hey, maybe you read a book. You can get them bloody cheap, guys. You get them for cents. You get them for free. But anyway, those are probably harsh comments that some people won't be ready to hear. Vacancies in the arts and recreation services industry fell 95%, followed by rental, hiring, and real estate. And accommodation and food services down, Mr. Jarvis said. Victoria was the hardest hit, with job vacancies slashed in half. But Indeed's chief economist, Callum Pickering, said there were early signs of a modest bounce back. While today's job vacancy data is pretty dire, our data on Indeed showed that hiring activity has since improved, currently tracking around 42% below last year's, making up ground daily. I mean, that's trying to put a positive spin on it, guys. It's going to be... We're only seeing the beginning of this. That improvement is particularly apparent when focusing on new jobs. That is, those on Indeed for 7 days or less. They have surged recently, up almost 180% from its low, with the improvement apparently across almost every sector. So here we have catastrophic job postings are down 42%, everyone. And that's the improved number. Look at what it was in May. We've seen this as well in the ANZ job ads data. We've seen that plunge. So we'll have to see where this all goes, everyone. We'll have to see. It's going to be tough times for a lot of people. A lot of people, I think, are not going to be prepared at all. Very few people seem to have emergency reserves, like 6 months of money stashed aside to pay for their mortgage or to pay for other costs. We've seen the example of the professionals, project managers. So here's the thing. If you're struggling on the bottom, I can understand people having trouble scraping together 6 months. It can be bloody hard, particularly if you've got no education and no finance literacy, which, frankly, it doesn't exist in Australia in our schooling system. It's a bloody joke. We can all agree to that. Any one of us who've been through school knows it's terrible what we get taught about finance. So I can appreciate that. But when you've got people, professionals, that the ABC is pulling in on articles, project managers earning six figures, needing to depend on the mortgage holiday because they can't pay their mortgage. They don't have anything stashed aside. That is what really scares me, everyone. That is what really scares me. Because what that shows is that people are living well beyond their means, or they're pushing themselves so close to the edge. And that can be a snowball. That can be a much greater snowball. What do you think, everyone? Do you think this is going to result in a what-if moment for the citizens of our country, a tough recession? Is Australia going to come out stronger? Are people no longer going to pile on the debt as they have in the past? Do you think people will learn? Or do you think people will complain? Let me know your opinion down below. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you're a fan and want to support the content I create here, there are a few ways you can. You can join us on YouTube or Patreon. You can support us via using our affiliate links from Amazon or eBay or Independent Reserve and Kucoin. You can buy our merch from HeiseSays, use Gold Pass from the Perth Mint, or support us via PayPal. Thanks, everyone. I'll see you in the next video.